Welcome to the Real Estate Rundown. Today we're going to talk about, is that Starbucks that you're stopping and getting, that little treat that you get for yourself, propping up the U.S. economy and the housing market? Let's get into it.
Yeah, wild to think that like a little shot of espresso or a frappe could be making, money spread around the economy.
Yeah, it's Keith drinking all those frappes.
Frappy.
It's weird. I'll go through spurts where we'll go to Starbucks like a couple times a month, and then I seriously kid you not, it'll be like a year straight, and I won't go to one.
A whole year, so you just like have a craving and then satisfy that craving.
Yep.
That's great. Well, the question is, consumer debt is at an all-time high.
Yep.
And is the reason that the housing market and the economy that is still doing well is because people are spending and they're buying themselves these little treats on the daily. And so basically we're propping everything up.
Their credit cards are getting bigger.
Over
Yep.
over
That's what I was about to
$1.5
say.
trillion, right? I think I saw.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane. Trillion.
Yeah.
Swipe now, pay later. That's the American dream.
Well,
That's
okay, so-
1,500 billion. Just so we're clear for all those listeners out there, 1,500
Yeah,
Billion.
But that was just what this. Well,
Yeah,
you're
recently
saying,
recently reported. I believe I saw.
I thought it was a little bit over a billion, or a trillion.
Yeah.
But it was like 984 billion before, and it just hit the trillion mark.
I thought it was one. I thought I saw it was 1.5 trillion. No,
I looked at
Disclaimer,
I looked
not
at
verified.
the I looked at the same. It's definitely higher, but it's not like it's like 15% higher, something like that from
Oh,
like last year.
Okay,
So
but
it's definitely higher, but it's not like 100%. Like it didn't go from like 1 trillion to 2 trillion or anything like that.
yeah.
right, but inflation's still coming in kind of hot.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, maybe we didn't have this soft landing that everybody thought we had. Maybe it's just we keep spending on the little thing that isn't too much money, but just enough money to keep your credit card bills high and
Yeah.
keep the economy kind of propped up.
A lot of people think that we were already in a recession, but just people are spending credit to stay out of the recession, and so then the credit keeps going up. So then, shit's gonna hit the fan one of these days.
Well, and I think the whole theory of the little treat piece, right, is like people are frustrated with some part of life or something going on, and they want this little treat for like a reward, or something good happens, go do this. Something bad happens, I'm gonna go buy my $10 CBD drink.
So
Yeah.
what's your little treat?
A CBD drink, obviously.
No, I think Elliot's a froyo guy.
I actually don't really do a lot of dessert.
The acai bowl.
Yeah, I love it. I could do that. In general, my biggest thing I would say for my family as a whole, we eat out too much. That's where
But
too much.
But what about like your little treat? Like, oh, I'm just gonna get myself this little treat because I deserve it. I've been on Zooms all day since 7 a.m. and just finished my 17th one.
It's a protein
I'm
bar.
actually pretty disciplined on that when it's stuff. I don't have one.
How about you, Keith? What's
It's a
your
factor
little?
meal.
What's your little treat?
I would say lately it's been
Twix.
I was about to say Twix, yeah.
Yeah, but-
or the mini Reese's cups, and then I just freeze them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Keith and I come from this. I'll do that. Like little candies in the office or something. Go throw them in the freezer, and then that's the little treat.
I was stocking the candy jar and I stopped. I'm like, enough of this. 'Cause
Yeah, same here. I got two.
You were enabling bad behavior.
I was, yeah.
Yes.
I got 2 of those bags, and I crushed both of them in like 4 or 5 days. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's so I've been trying to consciously not treat myself to treats as often.
Yeah.
My
treat.
treat stuff definitely is Celsius. I like
Ooh,
those.
I like
How about you, Jay?
I don't think Celsius is that bad though.
I like the little Starbucks shots of espresso with cream. They're in a little can. I just get them off Amazon.
So that's your-
by the case.
That's your little treat.
Yeah. You see them in the fridge.
In the fridge.
Yeah.
All right. So, hey, in other news, this is kind of shocking. So, the Department of Justice refiled a statement of interest in the Nosalek MLS PIN lawsuit. So, that is not the Sitzer Burnett case, but it's another case that settled. And Department of Justice intervened and basically said, like, hey, you're not doing enough here to treat the symptom or to treat the
You're
disease.
just paying them off.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so let's talk about that. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's
they
fascinating.
proposed an entire uprooting, the end of buyer agent compensation.
Yeah.
Well, seller paid buyer agent compensation.
Right.
So that means that sellers wouldn't be able to offer it. But I also read that that they wouldn't be opposed if buyer asked the seller and seller said yes and paid the
Yeah.
buyer's
Through
agent.
concessions.
So there,
Yeah.
and the statement of interest is long. It's like 33 pages.
Yeah, I read all of them.
If you want access, we'll link it below so you can have access to the brief that was filed by the Department of Justice. And in these 33 pages, they've done an exceptional job of kind of laying out their case. So maybe buyer broker compensation is going away as we know it.
What is
It's
Zillow
certainly
going to
look different.
Zillow sells a lot of like
Buyer
buyer
leads.
leads, and a lot of these big companies do. What are they going to do?
Well, again, is it going to become a normal practice for concessions to be there? If that's the play that they're there, hey, we're just now going to go through concessions. And in order, I mean, especially like if it's a strong seller market, I could see that phasing away.
But
if it's a
lenders only
buyer's
allow
market,
a certain amount of concessions.
6%.
Okay, so they have to have you have closing costs and your commissions. So
I
you're going to
just-
see more of 6% concessions.
I've said this before. Like I feel like the real estate market is already artificially inflated by the cost of commissions. So who gets the benefit of this reduction? The seller?
I think the agent's going to get, they're going to get less. Obviously, they're going to get less. They're not going to get 3% anymore.
Buyer's agents.
Yeah.
I agree with that, but I think I'm going to go on what you just said there. Yes, I do think it's going to benefit the seller because now the status quo has been set as far as pricing. Sellers are going to benefit. I think who's actually going to lose the most in this is buyers.
Which in turn is going to be sellers are going to lose because if buyers aren't
If
buyers
less
can't, if
plentiful.
they're like,
Valid.
I don't, I got to pay for an agent. It's
Yep.
another cost. So how many buyers are just going to say, screw it, I'm not going to buy it. I'm going to rent something.
Valid.
And then sellers won't be able to sell. They won't have as much buyer interest, so then they'll have to reduce their price and lower the price. And
So, and I don't want you to answer this, but that train of thought almost makes you think that buyer's agents were steering. Don't answer that.
not steering.
I think they're inspired.
I think they're inspiring. Exactly, they're inspiring buyers to go, hey, get in the game. Which I think, obviously everyone should get in the game because we were talking about inflation. How inflation went up like 30-something% over a course of, or no, not inflation, but house prices went
Yes.
up like 30-something%, and inflation went up around the same amount. So
which is the
I mean,
exact same amount of money that they put into the economy.
if you weren't in that game, if you didn't have some real estate, then you lost out on that inflation pop. Which now your money is worth a lot less. If you had it in your bank account instead.
Right, you just let it sit there and feeling safe because your money's in savings. Yeah, no. The government is basically reaching into your bank account and taking that money.
Yeah, there's
They're just
two
printing more.
There's two
Well,
ways
that's what I'm
to
saying.
tax.
They're depreciating.
There's
the money.
the way that they
Devalue.
usually would do is legislation and tax people, increase taxes, or they print more money.
Devalues it.
It's the same thing. It's just a tax.
I know.
Okay,
Pretty wild.
let's think through though. As we're working with buyers, obviously the first thing is going to be getting that buyer broker agreement in place. And you're going to tell your buyer likely, like let's say this DOJ statement of interest becomes the groundwork for how compensation is in the future. And sellers can't pay it, but you can ask for it in a purchase contract. And so you're working with the buyer, you're going to get that buyer broker agreement signed up front, and you're likely going to say something to the effect of, hey, when we go make an offer on a house, we can always ask the seller to cover this cost. They may or may not, but we can ask. And then let's say, you're out there and you're making offers and you keep getting beat out and you've got this commission in all of these offers. What's the buyer going to start to say?
Yeah, especially
Maybe
if they have to raise their price. And I mean,
But
think
then
about
they would have to appraise.
I know.
So then what
that's exactly what I was going to say.
So the seller says, yes, I'll pay your commission as long as it appraises. It doesn't appraise, then what happens?
Or
The
another
agent just
negotiation.
well, and not only
Yeah,
that, you have a
yes.
contract, right? Where, like the buyer's on the hook. And think about it. Let's say they only have 10% down, right? It appraises. Seller says, "Oh, we're going to do this." Now they got to use their extra cash to cover the shortfall, or they meet in the middle somewhere. And then now all of a sudden, the agent, the amount of cash that the buyer has is short to actually pay the agent that they hired. Now the agent's going to be in a position for chasing after the buyer to get compensated.
or saying
Terrible
no,
position.
or saying no, it's not going to work,
Yeah.
No.
and then they all lose the deal.
Yep.
But will they be able to say no, it's not going to work because of the commission? If it was already in there, it was already.
Well, that's what
agreed
I'm saying.
upon.
Think about the fiduciary
would it-
situation the buyer's agent is going to be put in that. They're going to literally potentially blow up a contract to
They're-
try to get overpaid, which your
So they're either
compensation
going
is supposed to be a part of
be
it.
compensated or do something for free, or blow up the deal.
Which is a violation. Your compensation isn't supposed to disrupt the transaction.
It's not, but now it's going to because
That's
what
what
the
I'm
DOJ
saying.
is allowing.
This
To
is
say that.
when you really
Yeah.
look at
They're
it,
basically
it's a
saying,
bit
"Oh, well, if you-"
backwards,
yeah,
right? And do you guys see what I'm talking about? Or am I?
yeah, because the agent would be able to say, "Sorry, what are you gonna do?" Right? It's in the contract. If it didn't appraise, then you're gonna have to come up with the extra money. Why do I have to reduce my commission?
Yeah,
Yep.
but I mean,
It's in the contract.
even if that's the case, I mean, and a buyer says no, it's like good luck going after them. That's not
Yeah.
going to fly.
No.
But the buyer
Agreed.
says no, but then
Agreed.
the deal falls apart.
I know that's going to be a very precarious situation.
I know.
I guess like
What you say, DOJ?
well, and this spin, some of these news articles, I was trying to find the one that I saw. They're spinning it like this is good for home buyers, and I'm like, this is terrible for home buyers. Maybe
Terrible.
Oh.
maybe it's good for some sellers,
Yeah.
but it's terrible for home buyers. But
Agreed.
okay, so apart from whether it's good or bad or is or isn't happening, like I think that if it does happen, it's going to put us in extremely difficult conversations with buyers.
Yeah, when we
100%.
I feel we've encouraged so many people to buy houses that they've bought houses and made hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I think some people probably wouldn't have bought a house if we wouldn't encourage them to do it.
Not only that, when you
So-
show them the economics of a deal in certain circumstances, right markets, cost of capital, and I'm not even talking investors. I'm talking pure live in your house and you get equity growth. You actually pay down on something. You're putting your money towards something. You get to write off the interest that you pay. All the benefits that come with home ownership. An agent a lot of times will outline and highlight that to a less educated buyer.
So who's going to take over that role?
I don't know.
Chat GPT.
AI.
This is just a big ploy for institutional capital to come in and buy all the houses
Hey, there's always that
and
rabbit hole.
rent it
for
to those
sure.
people that
Yeah.
were being inspired to buy houses. Instead, now they're going to
absolutely.
be renting.
Well, okay.
There's a trend for that for sure.
So I've long theorized that these lawsuits had, maybe
Some institutional.
institutional
Yep.
capital behind them. However, I've recently learned that one of the originators of not the big Merle, no, not Sitzer Burnett, but the Merle case. He was a realtor, and back in like 1995, he formulated this thesis that like realtors were overpaid and they didn't work enough and this and that, and basically came up with this and has been pushing this idea that things need to like systemically change for like decades. So he's not VC at all. He's I need to read more on that and like dive into it because it was pretty fascinating.
I think he went at it the wrong way. I think where it should have gone is, educating or making the licensee process harder
Yes.
for agents to become agents, because you got like we talk about all the time. I get paid the same as the agent that just got out of school
Yes.
and got a client, and I get paid the same.
But let's be real, though. When you first started, you had the benefit of that structure.
That's right. I
Yeah.
did.
So you were on the receiving end
Yeah,
of that
I
benefit.
got a client brand new and made the same as the person that was doing real estate for 20 years.
Yeah, there is no pedigree. I mean, and even if you have a different level of licensing, you're usually still compensated the same.
Yeah. Now it's different with listing though. I mean, we as newer agents we discounted our listing fees a little bit.
Well, and I mean, I guess that's the independent contractor space of it, right? You don't really have that hierarchy that you move through, and you graduate in different pay grades and whatnot. I mean, in all technicality, you can go negotiate an 8% payday if if the seller's on board with it. But
Well, the other crazy part too that people may not realize is, as a licensed agent, how much of a nightmare is it to try to work with a consumer that isn't being represented? They don't know what they're doing. They don't have
Yeah.
access to the paperwork.
Right.
The
Great point,
transaction's
Steve.
not going to be as smooth. I mean,
Great
it could be a
point.
shit show
Yes. Or
in the wrong
Yes.
circumstances.
100%. The emotions, for one, like emotions are so heated in real estate transactions. And if they don't have a representative on their side, then they're getting all of that.
Absolutely.
And then as the agent, the listing agent, you're getting all of that fresh. And then also, like, it puts the listing agent in kind of peculiar situations because now you're representing the seller, but you have this unrepresented buyer. And so you're like walking that line with them. Like, how much is too much? Do I
Yep.
That's
Wait,
what you gotta
yeah.
I see a
Yeah.
bunch
Write the contract
of
for
dual
'em.
agency violations coming down the pike if all this goes through. Think about it. Sign call. Hey, I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, why would you do a dual agency if you're not getting paid for it?
Well, but I'm saying because so you get a sign call, right? You start advising them. Hey, what would they take? What's the structure? All of those types of things. Something goes sideways. Now all of a sudden, this agent told me. Now it's in court, and you're in violation of even though there's no contractual thing, there's an allegation on a dual agency violation. And to Keith's point, listing agent, consumer calls, they don't know that, they don't have the contract, the paperwork, those types of things. So now they're going to draft the contract on the buyer, potentially, right? Say, here's the terms. It's almost like, hey, buyer, we'll draft the contract as the seller. We'll send it to you. Do you agree? I mean, that's arguable violation right there.
Well, they'd have to have them sign some sort of unrepresentative buyer agreement.
Yeah, yeah. So sometimes those hold harmlesses though aren't real.
aren't
Yeah. So it seems like the housing market has lost steam as interest rates push up near 7%. So January, maybe signs of defrosting were occurring.
Do we have a fake out here? We had a fake out of lower rates. We're thinking maybe people are just going to sit on their hands during the election year.
I hope that doesn't.
We're gonna be-
It's happened in the past.
Yeah, we're going to be begging buyers to come check out our properties here soon.
Yeah, from what I hear too is that we don't. Even if the Fed does cut rates, it doesn't necessarily mean that the rates will go down.
Because of the spread that they keep
Yep, and people aren't buying the bonds, so they have to keep
at a larger spread.
having a larger spread to get them to buy the bonds. Like
Yeah,
that's
the
the
bonds
case,
don't have the strength that
then
they.
the rates don't go down, and
Yes.
that could very well could happen.
Okay, so definitely an interesting time. And we know NAR's recent membership report came out, and we talked about it last week on the podcast. Don't need to rehash it, but we're losing realtors. I guess the question is are they just, hanging their hat on the realtor designation, or are they getting out of the business? And my guess is they're getting out of the business.
Oh, absolutely.
So let's talk about then, ways that agents can really insulate themselves right now. And I'll go first. I think that they need to be consistently prospecting for business, because I think this is one of those markets where your typical people, maybe your friends, your family, that referral base that you usually work off of, they may not be transacting at the volume that they typically do. And so you need to make sure that you're going after the people that will always move in any market. And if you would like our free guide on who's selling in 2024, click the link in the description and we'll hook you up. We'll give you that, because there are people that will always move: death, divorce, diapers. All those people will move regardless in any market. And so focus your attention and energy on them while maybe your regular fold isn't making a move. So that's kind of my thing, is consistently prospect every day. What do you guys think?
So that means like when you're door dashing or Uber Eatsing to leave a business card.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Hey,
Hey.
we've got agents out there that are doing all of that. It's
Yeah, I mean, you-
respectable.
yeah, I
you-
don't. I
you-
don't. I think it's.
You drive for Uber.
That's
you-
your hustle. That's
you
your
talk
hustle.
to people, right?
Yep.
So pick
Absolutely.
up people at the airport, take them directly to a house to buy.
Yeah.
Uh,
What?
Yeah, I would say use cash offers, right? Use cash
Yes,
offer, the
of
cash
course.
offer hook. Give people options. Yep.
I mean, it would basically just be a repeat as well. I mean, that's kind of our blood for sure. How we grew up in the industry is just, going always consistently going after new business. The repeat and referrals are amazing, but if you're only rely on that, sometimes it can dry up.
Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit more granular on it. I think that what Keith is talking about, the network effect, but I actually, what Kayla is saying is where when you have a downturn, there's sometimes an unfair advantage. I mean, the four of us, I think, built entire businesses with pretty solid longevity in down markets, in times of massive strife, way more strife than we're in right now. So what I want to challenge everybody on is to think about actually just peeling it back and being systematic in your approach and what you're doing. Whatever you're doing, do it on a consistent doubling down basis, i.e. running a schedule, right? I think that's where it's a challenge in an entrepreneurial space is you don't necessarily have to answer to anybody, but yet you actually need to answer to yourself. So what you need to do is look at what's your one day that you're going to set up for success. What does that look like? Then you repeat it 3 days a week. Then you grow it to 4 days a week. Then you grow it to 5 days a week. And the reality of it is it absolutely is coming down to making playing the network game, prospecting, marketing, all of those types of things. And at the end of the day, it is your audience and your business opportunities are going to grow to the extent your ability to communicate. So to me, it's an echo of what you guys said. But be systematic in that scheduling and run your business like it deserves.
I think that's like one of those things that we just say and maybe we take for granted but yes, you do need to run it like a business, which means you need to have set hours.
Yeah.
And, it surprises me how agents don't consistently put in work, yet they expect consistent results.
Yeah.
Your results are in direct correlation to the amount of consistent action that you take.
Yeah, like just real talk for a second. I promise you, if you go to the golf course right now, a lot of those people are going to be real estate, some basis. You go to the, whatever, activity, busyness. You go to the gym right now. Unfortunately, I promise you that at, middle of the day, you have a bunch of people that are real estate related. And I'm not hating on those. Be active, do those things. But what I'm getting at is there's business hours of operation, and maybe you should be working on your business / in your business in those time frames of set hours and go to the gym before, after work hours, right? That's more conducive to your success.
Yeah.
So let's give a quick hack, and this needs to be really tactical, kind of short, but share a hack that helped you achieve results in your business. And I'll go first, since then you guys can be thinking of yours. Okay, so here is a hack that I used, and I see this kind of repeated and recreated in all sorts of different forms. But my first year in real estate, I wanted to take 21 listings. And so what I did is I wrote on my bathroom mirror 21 in lipstick. And every time I took a listing, I did a hatch mark. And it was a really good visual representation of me accomplishing my goals. And it kept it in front of me day in and day out. Who wants to go next?
I'll go.
Okay.
My very first year as well, I got a coach and an accountability partner.
So good.
Yep.
I did something similar, except for I don't remember how many years it was in the business. It was after the short sale world started going away, and it was more traditional real estate. I hadn't made 6 figures in real estate yet because it was just our setup was different. But anyway, so one of the things that I did was went after a number. I literally wanted to make $150,000 my first time ever, and I put it on the ceiling on my bed. I put it in my workstation at work and at my workstation at the house, and every day, I just focused on that. And
this is back when 150 was banked.
And yeah, this is probably like 2013, 14.
And you've added like 3
That was
zeros
450
to it
then.
now.
And it became reality.
Yeah.
Yes, I
So-
love it.
That's awesome. For me, it was getting up in the morning and getting to the office. When we first started, we convinced our broker to let us have a little office, which was a little tiny office. Well, actually, we were one of the top producers. So, but we was like, hey, we're going into the office every day, and we're going to work from the morning to night. And no matter what, we didn't have to, but we did because we wanted to be around people that were doing deals. Even though we weren't doing as many deals, we started doing deals because we were in the office. So I think being somewhere where there's other real estate transactions going on will obviously help you out there.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Your vibe is your tribe.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it. Hey, thanks so much for following along. If you are one of our listeners and you're not yet subscribed to our channel, please take a moment, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you also ring that notification bell so you get updated of our new episodes.